What is Palestine? The word Palestine derives from the Greek word Philistia, which dates to ancient Greek writers' descriptions of the region in the 12th century BC. Since the fall of the Ottoman Empire in World War I to 1918, Palestine typically referred to the geographic region located between the Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River. Arab people who call this territory home have been known as Palestinians since the early 20th century. Much of this land is now considered present-day Israel. Today, Palestine theoretically includes the West Bank, a territory that sits between modern-day Israel and Jordan, and the Gaza Strip, which borders modern-day Israel and Egypt. However, control over this region is a complex and evolving situation. There is no international consensus concerning the borders, and many areas claimed by Palestinians have been occupied by Israelis for years. More than 135 United Nations member countries recognize Palestine as an independent state, but Israel and some other countries, including the United States, don't make this distinction. Palestine's early roots. Scholars believe the name Palestine originally comes from the word Philistia, which refers to the Philistines who occupied part of the region in the 12th century BC. Throughout history, Palestine has been ruled by numerous groups, including the Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Romans, Arabs, Fatimids, Seljuk Turks, Crusaders, Egyptians, and Mamelukes. From about 1517 to 1917, the Ottoman Empire ruled much of the region. When World War I ended in 1918, the British took control of Palestine. The League of Nations issued a British Mandate for Palestine, a document that gave Britain administrative control over the region, and included provisions for establishing a Jewish national homeland in Palestine, which went into effect in 1923. The Partition of Palestine. In 1947, after more than 2 decades of British rule, the United Nations proposed a plan to partition Palestine into 2 sections, an independent Jewish state and an independent Arab state. The city of Jerusalem, which was claimed as a capital by both Jews and Palestinian Arabs, was to be an international territory with a special status. Jewish leaders accepted the plan, but many Palestinian Arabs, some of whom had been actively fighting British and Jewish interests in the region since the 1920s, vehemently opposed it. Arab groups argued that they represented the majority of the population in certain regions and should be granted more territory. They began to form volunteer armies throughout Palestine. Israel becomes a state. In May 1948, less than a year after the partition plan for Palestine was introduced, Britain withdrew from Palestine and Israel declared itself an independent state, implying a willingness to implement the partition plan. Almost immediately, neighboring Arab armies moved in to prevent the establishment of the Israeli state. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War that ensued involved Israel and 5 Arab nations: Jordan, Iraq, Syria, Egypt, and Lebanon. By the war's end in July 1949, Israel controlled more than 2/3 of the former British Mandate, while Jordan took control of the West Bank and Egypt took control of the Gaza Strip. The 1948 conflict opened a new chapter in the struggle between Jews and Palestinian Arabs, which now became a regional contest involving nation-states and a tangle of diplomatic, political, and economic interests.